Morning, guys. It's Black Friday, day after Thanksgiving, and I got a little job here to do. Show you what I got going on. It's a Fender flare off that Jeep Commander that I did work on last year, and in fact we didn't even notice it, but this was on the opposite side of the truck, and this was actually scuffed, and they had mentioned it to me at the time. So you got a little bit of carnage right there and here, and I mean it's pretty deep. So I'm gonna try and feather this out, but I may end up having to put a little glaze over that. So first things first, I have wiped it down once with a little wax and grease remover, but keep you guys on the stand here, and we'll go for it. Bottom of it's pretty nasty, so we're going to make sure we get it cleaned up pretty good first before I even start to do any sanding on it. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Hope you didn't eat too much. I know I did. I was miserable last night. I didn't eat all day. I was out here messing around, and then we went for dinner, and it just was a little too much all at once, for sure. The bottom of this thing has got, looks like tar and everything else. It's pretty filthy. So what I'm going to try and do is take that chipped up spot and feather it out with maybe some 320. And go from there and see what I come up with. I really don't want to be gouging into the plastic. There's a lot of road grime on this. But that's normal. I mean, this faces right directly toward the tire. These things are kind of a treat to get off too. I'll show you what the clips look like. I thought it might have some double-sided tape on it, but there's the trim clips, and you almost have to go behind it and squeeze those in to get it out. The top ones came out rather simply with the plastic trim removal tool, but that white colored one and these two darker ones down here were kind of a pain in the ass, because I couldn't get my hand up behind there very easy, or didn't realize I could until after I fought it for about 15 minutes. So anyway, we're going to try and 320 those scratches out. I think I might be putting a little glazing putty in those. I thought about just sanding up around it real good and throwing some glaze in them right off the bat, rather than try and feather it out too far, and I may still do that, I don't know. You notice I've got clean white paper on my embodiment stand here, so we don't have any crap flaking off from the last jobs onto this one. And I'm thinking I'm going to have to rig something up to hold this, because I don't think I'm going to paint it on here. I don't see any real simple way to get that to stick on there. But that's going to be step one, getting this all cleaned up. I have a feeling this is going to take me about 20 minutes to get that crap off the bottom. So I'm going to turn you guys off, and I'll bring you back when I start doing some sanding. Alright guys, she's all squeaky clean for now, so I'll give you a little zoomage here. I don't know if that's going to show up too well. We'll give it a shot. Got a little bit of a body line in it there. I got 320 on this. I'm going to see what it does first before I go any more aggressive. Seems to be working halfway decent. Get back into that raw plastic, but I think that's going to be the status. It looks like that gouge goes into the plastic, maybe. Paper stops cutting, quit using it. Threw away a lot of paper. That one was already starting to gum up a little bit. I was just going to try and repair that one area there, but I think I'm going to work on the snow chips on the bottom of it too. There's no sense for what little bit of paint it takes to do one of these. that's probably as far as I'm going to get that feathered out. Wipe that off, give you guys a look-see. I do have some handwork to do on this, don't get me wrong. But there's going to be filler work in this. I didn't think it was quite that bad. You guys off the stand here. You can see it right there. We're down into the raw plastic already, or the seal, or one of the two, but that is still, I can feel that. And then I gotta feather these edges off too a little bit, so I'll probably take some 400 or 500 and do those by hand. I don't want to run the DA over these edges. And that's going to need a tight wipe of glaze down here to fill all those stone chips. I'll get my blowgun, blow all the garbage out of that. So I'm going to do this by hand. We're already going to start getting really long on time, but I'm going to sit down and work on this by hand a little bit to get that edge straightened out, and I'll bring you back when I'm putting a lick of glaze on it. See ya. Alright, we're going to mix up a little bit of filler to put on that Fender flare. This particular one is an Evercoat. It's called Polyflex. It's for flexible parts. Sometimes I'll use USC icing or something, but I bought this and I don't like the way it sands, but it's not going to take much to do this job. We already needed the hardener quite a bit here, make sure it's all mixed up. You know, some guys throw their spreader out that they mix with, but if you wipe it tight enough, there's nothing left on the spreader. For little batches, for the big batches, usually you don't have enough room on your board and you gotta throw it out. But for the little ones, I use the same spreader. And I use these clean sheets. It's just like a palette with tear-off paper on it. What I found though, if you don't use them up very quick, they tend to wrinkle up. You can see this board has got like a little lump in it. Alright, we're mixed. Put a nice tight wipe on this, hopefully. Don't sweat the stuff that's hanging over the edge. I'll go along that and snap that off later. Actually, maybe I'll scrape it off here in a second, but I usually I say one thing and I do something else, so. Oh, I got a fucking piece of trash in it. That's a nice tight wipe on there. As far as I know, that's it for my gouge situation, so scoop Yep, that was the right way to do it. I don't know if any of you guys have used this particular brand before, but the first sanding on it is a son of a bitch. And there we are. It don't get much tighter than that. That filled all my stone chips at the bottom and my gouges up there. I can't believe it, because it didn't even look like that shit was gouged. But we'll see. I can already see sand scratches showing up through that a little bit, but you gotta be able to block that out just fine. So I'm gonna get the heat back on in here. Oh yeah, that's what I do with my spreader when I'm done with it. If you got leftover filler, smush it down in there. When it hardens up, it'll pull right off. Sometimes you can wipe them with a lacquer thinner rag, but I don't have any rags right now, so that's it for the moment. We're gonna get the heat rolling in here. I'm about out of fuel for the old torpedo heater over there. Zoom this back out. We'll catch you guys in a little bit when it's sanding time. Alright guys, we're back. I took a piece of 220 grit sandpaper over this to knock the blush off the top of it. It was a little gummy. And I don't know if it was quite cured. I mean, it had been like 45 minutes, but it's cold in here today, so I just went up and got 10 gallons of fuel for my heaters. So I've got two 150,000 BTU heater and another 200,000 BTU heater. And I run those for a little bit. It's 70 in here now, and I'll let them run for a while after I get this done to get it up to probably 90 or 100 in here, and then let it cool back down. So I'm going to try blocking it with this 220 and see what happens. Like I said, this stuff sands kind of funny to begin with, so for me to say that it's still a little gummy, for me to say that it's still balling up is not because it's uncured. It's because of the type of filler it is. It sands weird. It doesn't sand like any other glazing putty I've ever sanded. It tends to clog the paper just a tiny bit. Yeah, it's still got just a little bit of stickiness to it, but I think we'll be all right. I don't want to go with anything any coarser because I don't want any deep sand scratches in this. This piece of paper is done for already. I could go with some 180, but I definitely wouldn't touch it with anything any coarser than 180 grit. I'd rather start light and have to work up to something more aggressive. Nope, that's going to work. It's powdering up now. When you sand, you want to cross sand diagonal one way, diagonal the opposite way 90 degrees to that, so you don't end up cutting lines in it. You got a this is one of my favorites, my Motor Guard soft block, and I've got the black side down. You can use, it's got a gray side. You can see it's different colors. The gray side's a little more contour to it. I don't need the gray side. These things are flexible enough. Oh yeah, that's going to feather out beautiful. Make sure you guys are still on the picture here. This kind of stuff is a pain in the ass to sand. No good way to hold it except for to sit it in your lap. coming in real nice. Oh, there we go. I don't want to round over that body line too bad. Oh, that's still gummy. I wouldn't even really call this much of a flexible part, maybe semi-flexible. It's rigid for the most part. It doesn't really have any reason to flex. This thing's gonna eat me up here. See if I can make sure you guys are in this shot. I keep wanting to pick it up and move it, but I know I'm going to pick it up so far you guys won't be able to see what I'm doing, which you may not be able to anyway. Another thing about flexible parts, a lot of times they're not true and flat to begin with because they're made in an injection mold. And I'm noticing it right here. It looks like I have a low spot in the middle of my filler up above this body line. And there wasn't anything wrong with it before that, so except for a little gouging up in here. Yeah, it's coming out. Still feel a little ridge on it though. Interesting. Feels odd. .220 grit is a little fine for actually leveling something, in my opinion. But the problem is, I don't want to put deep sand scratches in this, which I've already said. I may have to put another wipe on that. That just doesn't want to feather out right there. Ooh, that's time to change the sandpaper. I got something in it. I think it might be working out. Love it when a plane comes together. So they're forecasting a chance of snow for us tonight. Of course, I have nothing ready to go. I'll buy that for $1. We'll probably have just enough salt to get me through one night, which is the only snow in our forecast. Calling for some flurries tomorrow, but we got the Ohio State-Michigan football game tomorrow afternoon. My buddy's throwing a party, so we're gonna probably drink some beer and watch a football game. Which I'm sure is exactly what a lot of people are going to be doing tomorrow, watching football. I think that's it for the 240 on this. I'm going to go on 320 on this stuff. decided whether I'm going to put urethane primer on this or not. This vehicle is for sale, and we're just trying to get some stuff touched up on it. This being the one sore thumb that was sticking out. The rest of the truck's in real nice shape. My repair on the door's really holding up good. The truck got detailed this summer, and it looks pretty good. It's dirty right now, but it needs a good wash-up job, and it'll be looking real nice. The other reason, starting with 240, besides the deep sand scratches, this was such a thin wipe on here, there's not much to take off. And I'd rather make this whole area flat than try and fill a couple little gouges. It was just easier. Sometimes I'll take and mix just a little bit up and then take a razor blade and use that for my spreader for little nicks and stuff like that, but I may have made this into more of a project than it is. I tend to do that. Alright, I like the way that feels. A little bit more work on this above this line. There's a body line in that molding there, and there's one here along with the two sides. The sides, I'm just going to rub that filler off with 320. And then I think I'm going to buzz this whole thing down with some 400 or 500 on an interface pad. Another thing you can do to round edges is to drag your pad lightly at an angle both ways. And that'll get your contour back. You just got to keep an eye on it and feel it and make sure that it's right. Yeah, most of that's coming right off. I'm going to hit that with 320. I'm sure some people are out there doing some shopping today. You'll have something to watch when you get home. Sorry about the dent puller video. If any of you guys tried to watch it on the first time I uploaded it, I don't know what happened. It must have crashed at some point. But I think I got it straightened out now. I re-uploaded it. And I did hear Darren say you get flagged if you watch your own videos. So I was doing that for a while. I'd watch my own just to see how they turned out. But now I'll watch them on the computer instead of watching them through YouTube, because I don't need any problems like that. And I try not to have any music in my videos or anything like that. Alrighty, I'll give you guys a look-see at this. Basically all I'm going to do is run over the DA and that 400 on the interface at this point, and take off any lingering garbage that might be there. And so we got some nice fuzzy edges here. That's what we want. I'm not feeling anything. These edges might be suspect, but I'll do those a little more in depth after I run the DA over it. But it feels good. There was some scuffing up in here, but nothing. I think it was just in the clear. It wasn't through it. You couldn't really feel it with your fingernail. So we're going to use this DA. I'll zoom you guys back out. This is my hog DA. This is a 3/16 orbit. This one, the Dynabrade, is a 3/32. It's a finished DA. We're going to put some 400 on that and give it a round. Put the interface pad on first. For those of you who don't know what an interface pad is, here's the DA, and this little foam pad is Velcro on both sides. One side will go to the DA, and then your sandpaper will go on that side. I have a couple of different styles of those pads. This is the one I really like. It's a little thicker. touched that, it left a shiny spot on it. I picked up my pop, and the cup was sweating, so you definitely don't want any contaminants on this. And I'm going to wipe it down before I put primer on it one more time with some glass cleaner, and we'll see if we got any issues. And I'm going to take this scuff pad over it after it's been blocked out with the primer on it too, just to make sure I get all my edges. But for now, I just want to get it scuffed up so that the primer will stick to what I've got. And no doubt that this is a red scuff pad, which I'm using prior to putting primer on. No doubt that that will blend these edges a little bit too. Okay. Foaming glass cleaner. See any place where it's acting crazy on me, or you wiped it down with glass cleaner 3 times after I wax and grease removed it, just to be safe. Now we're only going to get primer. I'm going to mask this, believe it or not, because I'm using rattle can primer. I don't think it's worth loading the gun up for this. We're going to back tape this up in this area just past where you get into this primer. And I want to make sure I got primer on all this, all my edges. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but everywhere there was a little stone chip, you can see speckles there. Well, it's got filler in it now. It's been feathered back, and then I just left that big blob. It was real stone chipped up real bad down in there, but right there's one of my spots that got filled, and you can see a little bit lighter spot right under. Come on, focus. You can see that little spot, a little one right on that line, and right along that feather edge too, where it was kind of strange. And then there was a chip up right in front of my thumb. I don't know that it's going to show it very well. So I'm going to put some paper on this. I'm going to show you what I'm going to use. And this is going to be, I think, part 1 of this video, because it's already probably 30 minutes long. This is what we're going to use. U-Pole high number 5. This is one of the better primers that I found come out of cans. And it's a, let's see, 1 hour, and then block it with 400 to 600. So I will probably block it with 600 as a final. So we'll get this masked up and show you what I got here. Double sure that I don't have any contamination on that. You guys are probably thinking this is overkill, but the reason I'm doing it is that can, it spits a little bit when you spray it, and I'll have it all over that if I don't watch. So I got to get the heat going, and I'll bring you guys back in a little bit. All right. that flash off, make sure we don't have any boo-boos here. You don't want to put it on too awfully wet with this type of primer for sure. So that's that for now, and we'll catch you guys when we're ready to sand some primer.